The Big Conversation with Danny Kelly
on BBC WM 95.6.
Radio for the West Midlands.
Morning, Danny. Now, thousands of homeowners are stuck in a leasehold life sentence, apparently, according to estate agents up and down the country. Yeah. They're calling for an investigation into how so many people unknowingly ended up only owning the lease on their homes. But what does leasehold actually mean? What are leasehold properties? We're going to find out for people in the next half an hour. And if you've got yourself into this situation, we want to hear your story. Give us a call, 08081 009956.
Now, I have a freehold property, I believe.
Well, you don't pay ground rent.
That's it. Right.
And now, you don't have to pay a maintenance charge.
No, that's it. Now, I remember one of your previous properties, Kev, you had to pay...
Because I've had many.
Being the magnate you are, being the property magnate, you've had to pay what I thought at the time were unreasonable ground rents.
I think it was something like £102 a month maintenance, and the ground rent was £150 a year.
Right. So, okay, so £102 a month for maintenance. And what did you get for your maintenance?
All the windows cleaned, all the outsides of the buildings looked after, the communal areas inside decorated, carpeting, and just
communal areas
and insurance for the building.
Yeah, and that's £1,200 a year.
Yes.
Plus £150 ground rent.
Yes.
That's £1,350.
Yes.
And do you think, thinking back, that was money well spent?
No, of course it wasn't. It'd be better off in my pocket.
Exactly.
Danny Kelly
on BBC WM 95.6.
Radio for the West Midlands.
I want to talk about leasehold. Pay attention, please, everyone. I hope that you pay attention anyway, but nevertheless, if you live in a leasehold property, here we go. News today that most homeowners who bought leasehold properties now regret the decision. Okay, that's the question. Do you regret buying a leasehold property? That's the decision. That's the question even. 08081, stop laughing, Kevin. 08081 009956. Many reckon they were missold, and some people are actually struggling to sell their properties as people are reluctant to buy one. What are they? How do they work? What are the pitfalls? Director of Leasehold Knowledge Partnership, Sebastian O'Kelly. No relation. Good morning, Sebastian.
Hi there. We're obviously cousins.
We are cousins from the Emerald Isles. Nice to talk to you, Sebastian. First of all, let's start with the basics. What is a leasehold property?
Well, a leasehold property is a tenancy, so you're not really buying a proper home. You don't own the land, you don't own the building, you just own time between the walls. That's it. It makes lots of money for the freeholder or the developer.
Wow, okay. Lots of new developments springing up everywhere, Sebastian. I did some calculations. Within a 10 or a 15-minute walk from my house, I did calculations. There are over 2,200 dwellings. Let's call them dwellings. That are coming up. They're coming up everywhere, all around the country, Sebastian, which is a great thing for people who need a roof over their heads and first-time buyers, etc. But some of those dwellings will be leasehold. Am I right in thinking that mostly they'll be flats?
Mostly they'll be flats, but developers have spread leasehold tenure to leasehold houses for no good reason whatsoever, which is why the government is banning the practice, and it's sort of fallen by the wayside since the scandal erupted.
Now, the scandal being what, please?
The scandal is that developers introduced very revenue-generating terms like doubling ground rents and management fees and various leasehold permission fees for if you put up a conservatory you have to pay £1,000, all that sort of nonsense, into the leases, and hapless first-time buyers bought these properties and are faced with this sort of litany of charges.
Right, this is just it's almost like a PPP scandal. Do you remember
exactly
that? Payment protection, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, and it's exactly like that. And the worst thing about this really is that the taxpayers, we've paid out a fortune, £11 billion in the Help to Buy scheme to get young first-time buyers onto the property ladder, and then they've been ripped off. And they've been ripped off by PLC house builders who built this stuff. So it really is a disgrace, and we think 100,000 flats can't be sold as a result. This report's very good. It's from estate agents saying how bad the situation is. If the estate agent's saying that the situation is dreadful, well, you know that the house really is a turkey.
Sure. Let's just go back to the basics again, please, Sebastian. So let's just say there's a new development and there's 20 apartments and they're in a block. Now, obviously, when people go and buy these properties, they're brand, for example, spanking new, and the paint is fresh, But after 18 months or so, and the gardens are all manicured, it's beautiful. And the electric gates, they operate fine. And the car park there, the tarmac is all working. Everything's great. But then you pay then you pay a maintenance fee moving forward. My colleague paid £102 a month for something similar in his block of apartments. And so you then pay £100 a month from when you move in. And that goes towards, for example, decorating communal hallways, making sure that the lifts work, making sure that the anything communal, a lick of paint on the outside of is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And, so he's paying over £1,000 a year for this, but he's being made to pay it by a freeholder. Sometimes the owners of these freeholds are companies based offshore where the ultimate beneficial ownership is completely hidden. So if you're contemplating buying a leasehold flat, you've got to check out things like the revenue stream, the ground rent, the management charges. Who actually controls this site? Some sites are built with resident management companies, and the leaseholders can actually control the building and appoint a sort of professional property manager to run the site, which is much better than letting developers sell the freehold on to murky and anonymous entities who are just going to levy charges at your expense.
And are there any restrictions as to how they can increase those levies?
Well, there are various protections of leasehold law, but they just don't work. That's the truth of it. We've reformed leasehold laws about every 10 years since the Second World War, and it's still not right. The answer is stop building leasehold. We're the only country in the world, England and Wales, are the only countries in the world which have leasehold, sell flats as tenancies, sell flats as leasehold tenure. Everywhere else in the world, Australia, North America, the continent, sells them as forms of common hold. So you own a bit of the land, bit of the corridor, bit of the lift shaft, bit of the roof, and you've got to pay for it, and you understand it. Everybody else outside England and Wales understands flat ownership. Here we have this terribly complicated system, and it's a sort of rogue's charter.
We're going to go to a caller who wants to ask you a question directly, if that's okay, Sebastian. But
sure.
Let's just say, and I know what neighbours could be like, let's just say, for example, we go to the Australian model and the lift breaks, then doesn't someone have to go around knocking on each door saying, listen, the lift is broken, this is going to cost $50 to repair?
Yeah, but it'll be...
And then someone will say, well, I don't use the lift, I'm on the ground floor.
Well, yeah, you'll get that, but in a building with a lift, it's going to be of some size. So there'll be a professional property manager who's appointed by the residents to manage the site. He'll knock on the door and say, you've got to pay your share of the lift. In fact, I own a flat abroad in exactly this circumstances. I have to pay for the lift charge when I'm on the second floor.
What if they say, no, I don't want to, I use the stairs?
Because you've signed a contract, say, when you bought this property, saying that you'd pay the communal charges. If you don't pay the communal charges, you're falling out with your neighbours and you're breaking your contract. Got you.
And just one final one from me, and then we'll go to Sandra. What about the 999-year lease, or indeed, someone on the text says that there are 99-year leases out there?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter how long the lease is, frankly. It still means you're a tenant. It still means you're going to be very disadvantaged in any money dispute with the freeholder who might be anonymous. It's going to be, he is the landlord. And so you're in this vulnerable position all the time. It doesn't matter whether you bought a £120 million flat in One Hyde Park. You're still a tenant.
It's like renting a car, isn't it? You've got to give it back at
some
some
point.
point.
Renting a car.
All right.
And, the situation in Scotland is so much better. They don't have leasehold. That's the solution. Stop building more of it.
Sandra's got a question for you, Sebastian. Go for it, Sandra. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Dan. Hello, guest. Hello.
Hi.
I'm downsizing. I've sold my 3-bed semi-detached, and I'm going to a maisonette. Now, it's leasehold. It's got an extended lease of 145 years. There's no ground rent to pay. Now, can the owner of the land, at a whim, want to call in some ground rent at his discretion?
No, at a whim they can't. The ground rents are set out in the lease, and they're absolutely established then until the lease is changed. So, and you can't change the lease. You've got to agree to the lease being changed. You do own that. So you're okay for ground rent, but it's very important you get on with your neighbour in a maisonette who owns the freehold, because they do have some power over you. So I would have a good chat to her before buying this property and see that you can get on with it. I've just got a terrible problem in London where a dispute has resulted in young man losing his 600,000 quid flat to his neighbours through forfeiture. So you've got to be careful that these things do work out.
All right.
Well, I wanted to actually buy the freehold.
Good idea, if you can. But
well,
on the other hand,
I wanted to, but he's staying anonymous.
Well, if there's two of you and you're both leaseholders and there's an outside freeholder, then the two of you do have a legal right to buy the freehold, and it's a very good idea.
Well, it's I'm an upstairs one. I'm going to be a penthouse queen. But I don't know about downstairs because I haven't met them yet because I haven't moved in.
Well, I would meet them. That would be a good idea.
All right, Sandra.
Okay, thank you very so much, Dan.
Use your charm.
I'll
Yes,
try
very good.
to. I'll put a
Very
sexy
important
skirt
to
on
use
me.
charm.
That's right. Use that God-given charm of yours. Sebastian O'Kelly, we'll talk again. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, all the best.
Gus on the M54. Gus, good morning.
Good morning. I'm actually in Bedford.
You're in Bedford.
I am.
That's down south.
It is.
Welcome to the show, Gus. Thanks for listening to me in Bedford. And you have a concern about leaseholds, I believe.
Correct. What it is, I purchased a property 14 years ago in Warsaw. It's one of 117 developments, and the lease is still owned by a very large house builder, which we pay £100 a year to for the ground rent. However, just recently, we've had cause to have to evict a tenant because I sit on the management committee. And we discovered that 12 years ago, upon the sale of the final property, that this large house builder should have converted all the leases back to the management company, and therefore would have saved each leaseholder £100 a year for the last 12 years, some £120,000.
Wow.
We've contacted this very large house builder, and they're now trying to get out of it. And because we've asked for the money back and them to do what they call a reversion of lease back to each tenant.
Yes.
And we're now having to go legal on it, unfortunately.
This, once again, this feeds into the conversation earlier on where my guest was saying just dodge leases, just dodge them. Nowhere else except for Wales and England do you have these ground rents and these monthly commitments.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you buy normally an apartment or a flat, that's how they come, and you have no option to buy except because they're now mainly in very urban areas in city centres.
Yes.
So naturally, this has only come to light just in recent months. And when you think about it, though, I, as an individual purchaser, should have been informed by my solicitor at the time.
Yes.
That the lease will revert to my name, thereby increasing the value of my property.
Yes. How long left on the lease, Gus?
There's about 110 years. It's a 125-year lease.
But also, I don't know your age, Gus, but people will think, well, that's going to be fine because Gus ain't going to live to 125 plus however old you are now. But nevertheless,
I don't live in it. No, I don't live in it. I bought it.
No, I know, but when you project forward and want to sell it, say you want to sell it in 20 years' time, then all of a sudden it's 105 years, and that will be factored into the price that someone's going to give you, isn't it?
Exactly. Now, if the lease was then reverted as it should have done 12 years ago into my name, it would then become a freehold property.
Yes.
Which A, makes it easier to sell,
yes,
and B, enhances the value from between 3 and 5%.
I bet it does.
Now, if you've got 120 properties, adding on, say, £4,000 or £5,000 to each property,
a lot of dough.
This house builder is sitting on that as an asset.
Millions.
And thereby increasing their book value by the same amount. Multiply that by how many blocks of flats they've got across the UK.
Yes.
And you could have another carillion on your hands.
Wow, you think it's going to be that big, do you think?
I do.
Gus, just a final point. You know, if someone builds a brand new development, block of flats, 30 flats, for example, and they start charging £120 a month from inception, then they are sitting on that cash. It's brand new. They're not going to have to maintain anything except maybe the garden for years, and they are drawing in all of this monthly cash, aren't they, that they're just sitting on?
I have to say there is a maintenance fee payable on top for, like your listeners have been saying, for the electric gates, for the CCTV,
gardening,
etc. That has to be maintained. Where a normal householder, that would still cost him 20 quid a week to maintain a property anyway.
Oh, well, I'm more cynical than you, Gus. I think that they're making money on the on the maintenance, monthly maintenance as well.
Oh, I have to say, because I sit on a management committee, we have to account for every pound that we spend.
Oh, good.
Yes?
Do you draw a wage from this committee?
No, not at all. It's involuntary. It is just one person paid who looks after the whole development, to look after when the gates break, to look after noisy tenants, which you occasionally get, etc. He's the only guy, like a maintenance man, you need on site. Otherwise, we have a professional management company who manage hundreds of sites across the UK, who manage the facilities of the whole site.
Gus?
But we have to have a budget, and we have to work to that budget every year.
Gus, I hope things work out fairly for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.